All right, Mikko and Ruaridh. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, perfect. Hi.
Awesome, awesome. How you both doing today?
Very good, thank
Yeah,
you.
really,
Good,
yeah.
good.
Well,
All right, so guys, first off, tell me, how excited are you for Sebastian to finally be on the festival circuit?
Very excited to finally, being to get to present it to audiences and hear their responses and get to discuss it with them as well. It's always been a film for me where I really wanted to kind of raise questions and maybe provoke some conversation. So it's been very exciting to finally get to talk about it.
Awesome. And Ruaridh?
absolutely overjoyed. It's something that you forget when once you're with the whole team together and you're working every day to make this thing, you forget like it releases and it comes out and people see it, and that's a whole other part of the experience that you get to relish. And I guess the reason you make it is to move people or impact people. And so I'm really excited to see what the responses will be.
For sure, definitely. So, Mikko, can you tell us a little bit about how the idea for Sebastian initially came about?
Yeah. So I think that the kind of genesis of it was really moving to London after university and kind of starting to just go out on the queer scene there. I realized just how many young gay men were involved in sex work of some kind of more or less casually, more or less openly. Really with apps and the internet, the threshold for going into sex work
Mhm.
had really become much lower, and for a lot of people, it was seemed to be becoming kind of more and more just another option in the gig economy of London. So I was really interested to craft a character study of someone for whom sex work is a choice rather than something done for lack of them, because so many kind of previous sex worker films have focused on characters for whom it is a last resort,
Mhm.
uh, who are kind of portrayed as a victim in a way. So I really wanted to make a sex positive film that looked at a sex worker who is choosing sex work. But then I wanted to combine that with a focus on really reflecting on the nature of storytelling and kind of in this moment that really values authenticity of experience. Really think about that question of how much lived experience do you need to be able to write about something, and how crucial is that to your work, and who has the right to tell whose stories.
For sure. And Ruaridh, why did you want to be involved with this project?
Well, I mean, I'm still at a point in my career where I definitely don't have the power to choose my projects, but this project came through, and it was just every so often something comes through from your agent that you're just completely blown away by, you
Mhm.
know. And this was one of those scripts. From the first moment I read it, I was completely hooked and moved, and it was so beautifully written by Miko. Uh, and I was just so excited at the prospect of maybe being considered to be Max slash Sebastian in this film, and so feel so fortunate and lucky to have been selected and chosen. And I put in my work from the very first audition, the very first moment the script came through. I was already head over heels and digging in. Probably too much. If I hadn't got it, I would have wasted a lot of my time. But but it was, yeah, yeah.
Well, what did you ultimately want to bring to the role of Max slash Sebastian?
I think I wanted to, one, just be able to find a way to bring him to life. He's a very like complex character in the way that we all are as humans. Everyone has their good and their bad, and I wanted to bring a certain kind of sensibility and sensitivity to Max to help bring like a bond. Like there's certain times where Max could be considered negligent or rude to friends, and it's important to build an emotion that people will see the heart in those moments, and not instantly go to disliking a character.
For sure. Well, Miko, what was the casting process like for a Max, and what made Rory the perfect choice?
So I always knew that I wanted to find someone who was, less well known to audiences, and who hadn't been in loads and loads of films before, because
Mhm.
it's really such a story of self-discovery, and I really wanted the audience as well to kind of go on a parallel journey of discovering that character, discovering who Max is. From the film begins with the question, tell me about yourself, and it's so much a kind of inquiry into who really is this person. So I wanted to find someone who we would really get to kind of introduce, also as an actor through the film. And so we set out on a search for up and coming UK talent, and did a kind of whole traditional casting process of seeing people for a few rounds and everything. But it was already from that first tape that I saw of Rory that there was something just so captivating about the energy that he had, um in his eyes, this kind of really raw intensity that he was able to really grab me from that tape. And then, of course, we worked a lot in preparation, kind of really getting to know the character and understanding everything about it. And I think what Rory was so amazingly able to bring to the role was also that fantastic kind of precision, of uh, making these smallest of gestures really be felt. There are so many quiet moments in the film, and it was important to kind of see Max, quietly in his room and on his commutes and being by himself. And Rory was really that actor who was able to bring him alive in those silent moments as well.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, what do you ultimately hope audiences take away from Sebastian? Mikko, start with you.
Well, I think it, there are many layers to the film.
Mhm.
So, on the one hand, it really is a film about ideas and ideas around creativity. And I'm not looking to kind of necessarily give answers, but more provoke questions and discussions. And certainly, I'd like for people to kind of think about the creative process and think about those questions around authenticity and like value of experience in making art. But then, of course, I also wanted to continue to destigmatize sex work and kind of
Yeah.
um and unpick any remaining stigmas around sex work, and really thinking about for Max Sebastian in particular, uh kind of deconstructing those dichotomies, and why shouldn't someone who's a writer also be a sex worker, and why should there be any incompatibility between those two things.
Definitely. And Rory, same question to you. What do you ultimately hope audiences take away from the film?
I hope that people are invited to free themselves from the constraints of judgment, and live their life and pursue their lives more truthfully, more freely as themselves, without fear of what other people may think about you, and for people to look at their work, whether it be creative, whether it not be creative, and see how much of themselves do they put into their work, and kind of really reflect on that and how much of you flows through everything you do.
Definitely, for sure. And yeah, I love that this film is a very non-judgmental portrait of sex work, and it's not exploitive or anything like that. So with the approach of sex on screen, what were there anything was there anything you were trying to avoid?
um I think it was, well, I don't think I was actively necessarily thinking about avoiding. I guess I was trying to avoid showing sex in that sense, that I just wanted to, well, I wanted to avoid sensationalizing, certainly, like the sex scenes, or like thinking about them in a kind of putting them in a different box in terms of the story. Whilst of course your approach on set is, it has to be different when you're filming intimate scenes to a lot of other scenes. From a story point of view, I was just trying to not kind of cordon them off as something different. And I guess one thing that I was really trying to avoid is just that question of, is it necessary, which we hear so much asked about sex in media, is it necessary to see this? And um, I mean, I think that for this film, they are completely necessary for the story. But even aside from that, I don't think the sex scenes should be subjected to any more kind of scrutiny of, you know, whether they're necessary or not.
Definitely. Rory, have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that sex is shown in film often. I mean, it's something that happens in life often. I think it's absurd to think that we hide it so much in film and TV when it's something that is definitely talked and gossiped about with friends all the time and just
Yeah,
done all the time. I think, yeah, I think it's an important step in the right direction.
definitely. And my last question for you both, Mikko, how has Sebastian helped you grow and evolve as an artist?
Oh, I think in lots of ways it's been a long process. I think it taught me a lot about writing itself. It taught me it as a director, it was a quite a big leap in terms of kind of production scale. So there were definitely, you know, lessons learned there. But it's but throughout the process as well, I tried to retain my approach like as close to possible to what it was on like a smaller scale production, and try to bring that intimacy of approach and also to be able to craft that intimacy on set as well to this film. So, you know, whilst it was a leap in terms of kind of production scale, I hope that the sort of sensibility and approach still remained the same.
For sure. And Rory?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is probably the single biggest moment of growth I've had as an artist after this film. I mean, undertaking a task that is the lead of a character study type film, which has so many intense and intimate scenes. And I started off almost wondering, like, will I be able to do this? I'd never
Mhm.
taken on so mammoth of a task before, and to have been able to find a character that is so complex and so rounded, and to be able to, I'm hopefully successfully portray him, and come out the other side. I feel so much more confident in myself as an artist. I think I grew so much in terms of my own body confidence because of this film, in terms of being more visibly out as a queer male because of this film. Like, I think it's been probably, yeah, the single most important creative growth for me.
Awesome. Fantastic.